Serviced, new seals and bearings, both shock absorbers, which were the originals from the car as I bought it. The springs look new, but again, they're the original springs just being sandblasted and powder coated. Radius arm is on, hub carrier's on, but all new bearings in there. So one side's complete. Next job is to fit the camber shims, followed by the drive shaft. It's going to be a very busy day. What's that going then? It's on your little Herbert. Lovely job, excellent stuff. Now prepare yourself for a shock. Actually a pair of shocks. The shock, one of them here, Exhibit A, needs to have this spring compressed onto it. To do that you need a special tool. Now originally, like the E-Type factory would have had an all-singing, all-dancing tool to be able to compress these springs, but this little gadget is actually made and supplied by the Jaguar Club, which is extraordinarily useful. It's very simple. You've got basically a bolt that goes through here, through the top of the shock absorber, that's attached to this big threaded bolt here. Goes over a frame which sits on top of the spring. As you tighten up that nut, it compresses the spring down, and then when we're at the right position, we'll just slot these in to lock it all off. It's very straightforward, really. So, let's clamp it up in the vise. Like so, and wind away. I wonder how far this thing would shoot off if it all fell apart now. A big hole in the side of the building. So with a little bit of fiddling, and there you have it. Those two little shims either side have trapped it in, one compressed spring. Right, another one to do. Putting the shockers in place is a very straightforward, simple job. Put a little liner in this end first, in the bottom, then slots down into there, like so. Okay, that's through like that. Then a washer and a nylock self-locking nut. We didn't use nylocks when we were putting on those shims for the disc because they get very, very hot, so they were crimp nuts. But these can be your standard nylocks. So, second one. Okay, so all those nuts torqued up to 55 pounds-feet. Now, next job is the radius arm to go on this side. What these do is stop the twisting fore and aft movement of the entire rear suspension cage. So that will slot in like so. And it goes like that. Another nylock self-locking nut on there. There you go. Right. Now you can't get to torque this up because you can't get a socket in there, so this is officially known as doing it up FT, which means fully tight. That's fully tight. This is a rear hub, and it'll be the wheel that actually fits onto there. This is the hub carrier. Now, there's quite a lot of assembly work that's already gone into this, because inside here is the wheel bearing, and you can see that on the diagram here, all the bits and pieces that have gone into the hub carrier. So the next job is to put this onto the drive shaft there, which is on the end of our universal joint here, and then just tighten it all up. First thing to go on the drive shaft is the oil seal track here, which goes on that way. Next onto the drive shaft is this wheel bearing shim on the outside there like that, and that'll help determine exactly how the wheel bearing clamps up when we do up the nut on here. Next, we put on some thread lock. All this does is on these splines is help fill up any gaps there are between the grooves on here and the splines on the inside of the hub, so that it takes up any kind of spare slack. So a little bit in each groove, like so. That's a good job. Then one very big washer inside there like that, and then the castle nut which the split pin will run through. That goes on like so. And we'll just do it up tight for now. We need to put on a few more bits and then we can actually torque it up. So that is the rear suspension cage fully built up. Just needs all greasing, all the nipples all round before we actually put it in place. That's it for part one. After the break, join me when I'll be putting together all the bearings and bits and pieces for the front suspension. So, my lovely air-driven grease gun. Welcome back to A Car Is Reborn. On my trolley, chums, for your delight, are all the bits you need for a front suspension on one side of the car, because that's what I'm doing at the moment in restoring my 1965 Series 1 E-Type Roadster. But the first job in the assembly is to put together the upper wishbone. Step 2, fix hub to disc. Disc hub, hub disc. Step 3, the outer races of the wheel bearings. I've already done the outer race of the outer bearing, and this is the outer race of the inner bearing. Step 4, marinade 2 original type leather oil seals in engine oil overnight and gorgeous!